Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. So today I'm going to be doing a crypto goals update video. This is my 2019 crypto goals. So at the beginning of the year, I set some goals basically in financial terms, different revenue streams, and every 4 weeks I do an update. This is the week 48 update. So after this, just one more update left to go at the end of the year, and in that one I'll be talking in a lot more detail. So I'm going to be going over each of the different revenue streams in detail. I might do a separate video for each of them, how they've performed, what I could have done differently, how they compare to kind of other different things. So that will be coming up right at the end of the year, but only 4 weeks to go now to the end of the year. It's crazy how quickly it's been. This is the week 48 update, so relatively brief update today, but if you haven't been following the series, links to all the previous videos and the initial goals video are linked in the description below. But basically what I did, I split my kind of goals, or sort of financial goals within crypto, into 5 different revenue streams. So we had masternode, staking, trading, investing and social. And I set an arbitrary figure of $100 a week from each of the different revenue streams. So that's a grand total of $500 a week. And every 4 weeks I kind of look at the figures, see how we're going, talk about any kind of changes I'm going to make over the next few weeks. So let's jump straight in and look at our first couple of revenue streams. So starting here with staking, and you can see here, so the green figure is our predicted or our desired kind of outcomes. This is $100 a week, so at this point we'd be on $4,800, and then the blue line here is the actual figures. So this is what we've actually brought in. Now, staking was always going to start relatively small. I only had a limited kind of number of coins. Now, I have tweaked things a little bit throughout the year. It's been a little bit kind of up and down, but at all times a pretty low level. Now, I did make a conscientious switch maybe 3-4 months ago to move from some of these kind of smaller cap coins, which might stake quite a lot, but are pretty volatile, difficult to kind of trade, low liquidity, etc, etc. And I made an effort to kind of move into slightly larger cap coins, so stuff like Neo, Icon, Cardano with its incentivized testnet will be going kind of soon as well. Now, unfortunately, with a few of these projects, obviously no staking for Cardano so far this year, same for Ethereum and various others, but I have made a bit of a switch from sort of small cap coins into larger cap coins, and that has hit maybe our profitability in sort of like our weekly kind of like dollar profitability a little bit, because a lot of the larger projects are producing a lot lower sort of staking or delegated staking returns. Neo, for example, produces about 3% of its value in gas each year. Icon's a bit higher than that, but they're nothing like some of the sort of like the really kind of crazy high staking coins. But I think in the long term, I'm pretty happy with that sort of like transition into larger coins. Now, I do still have a load of kind of small cap coins in the StakeIn Revenue experiment. Now, some of those are coins that I'm actually running a masternode for, so we obviously get our masternode kind of payouts, which we can then stake, and a lot of those will be going at the end of the year when I wrap up some of these masternodes after the masternode shootout experiment finishes. But we've been slow and steady, but at a very, very low rate. We've just reached the kind of point, I think, now where staking is pretty similar or maybe slightly overtaking masternodes, and throughout the year you can see probably we've made about half of what we've made in masternodes with staking, maybe a little bit less than that, but the masternodes have really tailed off in the last sort of 4 to 5 months, and the staking revenue increased a little bit. So staking pretty low, nowhere near where we wanted to kind of be, but that's largely due to the fact that A, we haven't had a massive kind of run up in price, certainly for kind of altcoins this year, and B, I just don't have the quantity of kind of coins in order to generate that kind of revenue, unfortunately. Now, moving over to masternodes, we've seen, you can see, start to see here with the graph, you can see we started reasonably well, had a little tail off, a bit of a sort of spike up in prices here, a bit of an increase in prices, and then this last sort of, maybe sort of 5 to 6 months, everything just starting to tail off, and the last sort of few months, it's really starting to go pretty much kind of sideways here, so we're making very little money now from the masternodes. Out of the 6 masternodes in the experiment, only one of them is up so far this year, and that's our cheapest masternode, that's Helix. At the beginning of the year, it only cost about $30 for a Helix masternode. Now, that's the only coin that's up. Everything else, and particularly the ones that cost a lot more, we've got Smart Cash, which moved from 10,000 collateral to 100,000 collateral, and the price is kind of like, you know, dropped through the floor really. The only other slightly expensive ones, and not crazy expensive, but around the $1,000 mark, with stuff like Bulwark, which has had a nightmare year, and also kind of Metrics, which has done a little bit better than some of the others, but again is not in positive territory year to date, let alone getting anywhere near outperforming Bitcoin. So masternodes have really disappointed. I was hopeful that we might see a bit of a kind of like an uptick sort of throughout the year, particularly if we had a bit of a bull run. But I think the coins I kind of chose, I wanted to do like a mixture of things from like really, really cheap, sort of like, a few tens of dollars, up to sort of like 1,000 odd. I think the only masternodes that have kind of like done okay possibly this year, you've got Dash, you've got kind of Pivx, maybe some of the larger, more expensive ones haven't done as badly as maybe some of these kind of small cap coins. But I think the kind of trend of people creating kind of masternode kind of coins is kind of probably come to an end now. There were some kind of solid projects. I was hopeful that 2 or 3 of the projects in my kind of list, had some legs in the slightly longer term. I'm not saying that anything there's like a Bitcoin beta or anything like that, but I was hopeful that maybe 1 or 2 of them would increase a little bit more than they have done. I think particularly stuff like kind of Smart Cash, I had slightly kind of higher hopes for than the way it's kind of performed, unfortunately, so far this year. So really disappointing. We're on the downward kind of trend there. So instead of kind of like coming up to reach our kind of line, we're falling away from that. The longer it goes on, I'll be kind of quite glad in a way to kind of wrap up the masternode shootout experiment and get rid of some of these masternodes at the end of the year. I could do without, just by paying the VPS kind of charges, and I would like to get rid of some of these kind of coins, which I don't have a huge amount of faith with when the price spikes up. But let's move over to the next 2 revenue streams. So we've got trading and investing. And as you can see here, trading, we've had some reasonable kind of periods. You can see the periods here where we were kind of like basically on target or kind of reaching back up towards the kind of line. But the last 3 months, very, very kind of like sideways. I think I've done nothing trading wise in the last 3 weeks. I do have some active trades at the moment in a few different coins. So I've got active trades in Neo, in Tron, in Nav, in Pivx. Now a few of those I'm still waiting for stuff to kind of happen. With Neo and Tron, I'm still waiting for them to go back to a level where I want to kind of buy back in. With Pivx and Nav, I'm kind of at the kind of point where I might start taking the profits. I'm in profit for those kind of trades. So I might complete those trades over this weekend. I'm going to see how things pan out in the next couple of days. So hopefully we should see a little bit of a kind of like a spike up in kind of price over the next kind of couple of weeks, but we're way off. I was quite hopeful around this kind of period that we might be able to kind of pick up and kind of get towards our kind of goal, but we're a long way off. We're just over 50% of where I was hoping we would be by this point. So although I think we'll see a little uptick the last 4 weeks of the year, unfortunately nowhere near the target that I set at the beginning of the year, unfortunately. And then let's move over to investing revenue. So this has been by far the most profitable and by far the best performing of the revenue streams. And there is a link to the portfolio that I'm sort of considering within this investment revenue below. So if you go to the description, there's a link to a crypto compare portfolio that I'm talking about in this particular bit. No massive changes. I actually bought, I think it's £300 worth of Ethereum in the last couple of weeks. You may have seen my Coinbase versus BC Bitcoin video, and in that I stepped through the kind of like process of buying crypto, and I actually, as part of that, bought £300 worth of Ethereum. Now, it was before that latest little pullback, so I think both of those about 18 to 20% down, those last little kind of bits, but no big changes, and we're still in really positive kind of territory for this. You can see, we almost touched 22,000 at one point, so massively up on where we were at the beginning of the year. That's when Bitcoin went up to about 14,000 odd, and we've pulled back dramatically over the last sort of 4 months, 5 months from then, but we're still in positive territory. I'm hoping for maybe a little bit of an uptick towards the end of the year to kind of like drive us back towards maybe sort of 10,000 or above mark by the end of the year. Excuse me. Now moving over to social and other. Now in the final sort of wrap up video at 52 weeks, I'll talk a little bit more detail about this. Basically the only figures I'm putting into here at the moment are YouTube, and at the beginning of the year I had some Vulture referral revenue, so like $10 if somebody signed up to Vulture through my referral link. Now I haven't really done a lot on the masternode kind of side with kind of videos, set up videos and stuff like that, so that's tailed off. So this is basically since probably about here just YouTube revenue. Now at the end of the year I will wrap up I will wrap in rather some additional revenue streams. So I don't really do a lot of mining, but I do still have a burst coin mining kind of setup, which I'm probably looking to get rid of basically at the beginning of the new year. So I've got a few dollars from that to kind of wrap into it. At the beginning of, or sorry, more recently, I've had BAT revenue. So basically attention tokens. So I'm being tipped by people on Twitter and on YouTube. So that's nice. So I've got that revenue to add in. I'll put this all in just right at the end of the year. So what we'll see is this will trickle on, and then there'll be a big, maybe not a massive spike up, but a little bit of a spike up right at the end of the year as I kind of consolidate those final figures. That's about it. I had a BlockFi payment coming at the beginning of this month, so about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, put some Bitcoin into BlockFi via a interest, kind of like, so it pays interest. I think currently on Bitcoin, if it's reasonably small amounts, less than about 5, it's about 6.2%, I think. So I'll put all those kind of like additional kind of bits and pieces into this social/other revenue. So there might be a little uptick that last week, just because it's too time consuming to go through and work out exactly kind of how many BAT or how much I had from Steam at the beginning of the year or stuff like that on a weekly basis. And then here we have our total revenue. So you can see this very much mimics our investing revenue, very much so, because the investing one is really the only kind of like one that's really kind of like pulling away from these fairly kind of like static flat kind of graphs. So if we look here, trading has done not too bad, but the others reasonably kind of flat graphs like that. So investing has the largest single influence out of these revenue streams on the total revenue. Unfortunately, we're way below where I was hoping we would be at this point. We've spent probably about 3 months here above our kind of target, but with the pullback in price of Bitcoin and other kind of cryptocurrencies, it's gone down reasonably kind of dramatically over the last sort of 2.5 months. So maybe a little uptick in kind of price will kind of bring us a little bit closer to this line. I think it's unlikely at this stage now that the investment portfolio will save the experiment. I think it's probably inevitable without a really big surge in price that we're going to end the year, unfortunately, in negative territory. But let's jump over to the graph and we'll have a look at the actual, a table, and we'll have a look at the actual figures. So staking, we should be 4,800 for each of these different revenue streams. Staking, we've currently got $334, so that's a difference of minus 4,465. We've met 7% of our target. With masternode, $759, down just over $4,000. We've met 15.8% of our target. Trading a little bit more successful, so we've done 2,474, so just over half of the target. We're down 2,325 on what I was hoping to reach, so that's 51.6% of our target. Investing gone really well, 7,355 of our 4,800 target, so we're up $2,555 or 153.2% of our target. And finally, social, the worst by quite a stretch, $257 basically of the 4,800 we were hoping for, so we're down $4,500. And we've only reached 5.4% of the target on that particular revenue stream. Grand total overall of $11,180. We are 12,819 below our target, and we're just under 50% of our target overall, so 46.6% of the target. So the last thing I'll just go over very, very briefly is my coin accumulation targets. These aren't specific to 2019, so you might see this crop up in different video series. I'm not going to continue this into 2020, but these coin accumulations I might talk about in future kind of videos. But no big changes this week. Icon continues to go up. Icon staking, so that's increasing slightly. Neo, I've actually got 200 of those, 285 Neo we currently have in trade. Now, anything that is currently in trade, same with Tron, some of those are in trade, so I haven't removed them from this graph. If they're still in trade at the end of the year, what I will do is remove them from the relevant column and put the equivalent Bitcoin price that I've sold them for in the Bitcoin kind of column, just to make sure everything's kind of accurate at the end of the year. But in the moment, because they are active trades, until I kind of close those trades off, it's easy just to leave things as they are. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Sorry it's been a little bit longer than actually anticipated this video, but I will be going through, as I said, at the end of the year, week 52, so end of this year, beginning of next year, we'll be doing a roundup of all these different revenue streams. And then with that, I can go into detail about the particular coins. Maybe I'm staking a particular masternodes that have done well or poorly, and stuff like that. But anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. It's always nice to hear from you. If you give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. And hopefully I will see you on the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.